According to General Hospital teasers, Willow Tate may hospitalize Drew Kane following some Daisy Gilmore stalker blackmail. Drew may plummet to a new low, inciting Willow to do the same. There must be a reason why the GH writers had Drew think Willow was behind all of the bizarre Daisy incidents. Drew could have easily remained in the dark, but they forced him to piece together the evidence and conclude Willow was the logical perpetrator. It appears that the show wanted to provide Drew some delicious blackmail material. Drew may eventually decide to utilize Daisy's stalker secret to control Willow, or at least attempt to. Willow, on the other hand, has made it apparent that she is tired of people like Drew controlling her. This incident has reminded Willow of her prior relationships with Shiloh Archer and Harmony Miller, and she is tired of being misled. If Drew throws a blackmail curveball at Willow, she might surprise him by throwing one back. Willow may easily lose control and endanger Drew. Willow's mental state is already weak, so she could lash out and assault Drew right away. Willow may grab a heavy object and shoot at Drew's head, using the element of surprise to her advantage. Even if Willow doesn't go so far as to wipe Drew off the map, she could hurt him and force him to be rushed to GH. After Willow vents her wrath, perhaps someone else can locate the injured Drew and bring paramedics before it is too late. Drew may end up in the hospital and face a coma crisis. What lengths will Willow go to quiet Drew and keep herself out of his twisted grasp? According to General Hospital spoilers, Willow and Drew may face a dramatic clash if he delivers a blackmail stunner. So stay tuned for more jaw-dropping news. According to General Hospital spoilers, Drew Kane will likely exact revenge on Willow Tate following the wedding pandemonium. Fans know that the ruthless congressman is aware that his fiancée is Daisy Gilmore's stalker. As the truth about Drew sleeping with Nina reaves out before Willow was due to say, "I do" to Drew, regardless of whether or not she marries him, there's a good probability Drew will expose Willow as Daisy's stalker at some time. So let's discuss it. What does Willow do now? Willow's decision to marry Drew remains uncertain, but if she does say her I do's, she will tell her new spouse all she knows. Could she blackmail him over it? At this moment, the only reason Willow will keep her vows is to reunite Wiley and Amelia Corinthos. General Hospital spoilers. Willow's wedding revenge, Jason and Liesel's Brit investigation. The look on Willow's face during the GH trailer for the week of July 28th to August 1st suggests she is plotting revenge on Drew. She's outraged at being tricked by her fiancé, much alone her mother, so she'll be out for vengeance. But can Drew turn the tables on her? Drew's ugly side. Willow will be astonished to learn that Drew has discovered she was Daisy's stalker. She will also witness Drew's dark side firsthand. This may go so many different ways, but if Willow decides to end her marriage to Drew and return to Michael Corinthos, Drew may have an ace up his sleeve in exposing Willow as Daisy's stalker. While he has no proof, Michael wouldn't be surprised if Willow was behind this, and it might jeopardize Willow's chances of ever seeing her children again. General Hospital spoilers. Drew's wedding revenge exposes Willow as Daisy's stalker? However, if Willow marries Drew and attempts to blackmail him, her dream man may turn into a living nightmare. Regardless, there must have been a significant reason for Drew's realization of Willow and Daisy prior to the wedding, and this could be it. Willow had not expected her day to go so quickly, but when she spotted the message on her windshield, her stomach churned. A pale yellow paper folded under the wiper, similar to the previous two messages. But this one was different. It lacked vague threats or veiled warnings. This time it was a demand and a name. Stop protecting Drew or the next blood won't be his. Under it was a printed photo of Drew leaving General Hospital. The street view was taken barely hours before. Whoever was monitoring them was not lying. Panic set in, but she couldn't express it. She had picked up Wiley from school and was returning home, hoping to maintain some sort of normalcy. However, the note altered everything. Willow placed it in her coat pocket and tightened her grip on the steering wheel. The blackmail was intensifying, and it was evident that whoever was pursuing Drew was not done. Her hands were trembling as she approached the Quartermain estate gate. Willow wanted to inform Michael, but he had been on edge lately, especially regarding Drew and the conflict between the family and Sonny. Michael had enough to cope with, especially since the previous board meeting had gone sideways. No, this was her current problem. She had to safeguard both her children and Drew, whether he enjoyed it or not. But Drew was never one to give up. When Willow contacted and asked to meet him in the GH parking garage later that night, he didn't ask any questions. He just answered, "I'll be there." She didn't want anyone to overhear what she was about to tell him. By the time Willow arrived, the place was almost empty. Only the occasional buzz of faraway conversations or the creaking of wheels from a janitor's cart. Drew leaned against the wall beside the elevator, arms folded and expression unreadable. Willow did not waste time. She handed him the note. Drew read it quietly, stiffening his jaw with each word. "So is this the third?" She nodded. "This time there's a picture. They're watching." "I'll take care of it," he answered instinctively, folding the paper once more. "No," she responded, more forcefully than she meant. "That is exactly what they want. They want you to go rogue, take the bait, and possibly get yourself murdered. Drew, this is more than blackmail. It's an obsession. It is personal." "Daisy." Drew looked up. "Do you think it's Daisy's stalker?" "I am sure it is. Daisy was attempting to warn me before disappearing. She had something on someone influential. And now you're the next target." Drew breathed softly. "We need aid. I can't show Michael this yet. He'll want to participate." Drew interrupted. "And he should." "No. Thank you, Drew. Just let us remain ahead of this. Quietly. For now." That's when they heard the footsteps. Rapid and hefty, booming across the garage. Drew turned to shield Willow reflexively. Unfortunately, it was too late. The attacker approached from the side, masked and swiftly, wielding something pointy. Drew rushed, forcing Willow behind a concrete pillar and absorbing the blow to his side. A knife. He collapsed instantaneously, groaning in pain, as the attacker fled into the shadows. Willow screamed and rushed to Drew, blood oozing through his coat. "Hold on. Just hold on," she continued saying, fumbling for her phone. Despite her shaky fingers, she was able to dial 911. Help arrived quickly, but Drew had already lost a significant amount of blood. He was transported to the general hospital. The attack sent shockwaves across the Quartermain household. Michael was furious when he discovered out. "You should have told me," he continued, pacing around Willow's hospital room. "You were protecting him at the expense of yourself." "He protected me," she responded, visibly shaken. "And whoever this is, they're not finished." The investigation began right away. Jordan Ashford initiated an investigation into probable suspects linked to Daisy's history. The former cult member was disturbed, but she had also acquired deadly secrets that may have made her a threat to other people. Her sudden disappearance and the messages suggested something deeper. Someone manipulating turmoil from the shadows. Drew survived the procedure, but he was comatose for about 24 hours. The wound was profound, and his body had already been stressed by months of strife, emotional strain, and quiet wars within corporate walls. Willow remained by his side the entire time. She refused to go home. She realized it wasn't just about Drew. It was about silencing others. And she might be next. When Drew awoke, his voice was hoarse. "Have they found him?" Willow shook her head. "Not yet. But Jordan is on it." Drew attempted to sit up but winced. Michael was also plucking threads. Willow nodded. "We need to find Daisy." That is where it all started. Before disappearing, she said that someone from her previous organization had returned. Drew's mind raced. She assumed someone had died. Shiloh. "No," Willow said. "Someone worse." Shiloh was a manipulator. But this individual, they were a believer. And they did not forgive traitors. Michael had already started to connect the dots behind the scenes. He had Spinelli look through old Dawn of Day records, hoping to find anyone who might have remained underground after the cult's demise. Daisy's unexpected disappearance, followed by threats to Drew, created a terrifying image. Someone was cleaning up. The perpetrator had not left any fingerprints, and CCTV footage from the garage was conveniently lacking critical angles. Whoever they were, they knew how to cover songs. Meanwhile, Willow had her own doubts. She started going through old emails and texts from her time in Dawn of Day, seeking for names that jumped out. Someone who idolized Daisy, someone unstable. One name kept coming up: Carter Keene. A quiet follower. Committed to the point of fanaticism. He had not been seen in years. There were rumors that he had overdosed. But what if the rumors were planted? Then another note arrived. This time it arrived in a manila envelope slid under her door. It was a photograph of her standing by Drew's bedside. The words, "One more visit and you'll both pay." The fear returned in full force. But so was the wrath. Willow was finished running. She called Michael. "I need to talk to Sonny." This caught him off surprise. "Why? This is no longer about corporate espionage. This is war. And I need someone who knows how to combat it." Sonny agreed to meet her secretly, outside of the estate. He listened patiently while Willow laid everything out. The threats, the attack, possible cult links. Sonny's expression worsened the more she said. "I know these types," he finally said. "They do not stop. Unless we make them stop." Willow understood what it meant, and she did not flinch. But Sonny had one condition. "Let me take care of this. No more individual meetings. No more keeping this quiet." Willow nodded. "As long as Drew is safe." Over the next few days, Sonny's team began hunting down Carter Keene's final known associates. A new network evolved, consisting of a tiny group of former cultists who live off the grid and communicate via encrypted forums. Carter had taken on a new name and was operating under the radar, using Daisy's previous moniker as a cover. He was fixated on purification, saying Daisy had been defiled by her stay in Port Charles. Carter saw Drew as the man who had led her astray. The photographs, the threats, the attack. It was all part of Carter's sick scheme to clean up the corruption surrounding him. But Carter made a mistake. He underestimated Willow's willingness to go to great lengths to protect those she loved. Sonny's intelligence and Jordan's squad led them to Carter's safe house on the outskirts of town. When they moved in, he attempted to flee and set fire to the structure, but it was too late. He was arrested, shouting crap about purity and sacrifice. Carter's incarceration put an end to the blackmail. The threats ceased, but the scars stayed. Drew, who was gradually recuperating, praised Willow for saving his life, not only in that parking garage, but for keeping her cool while everything else was falling apart. Willow paid him one last visit before he was discharged. "We're not out of the woods yet," she explained. Drew stared at her gratefully. "I owe you." "You don't," she said. "We are family, and we defend each other." Drew looked over his shoulder as he exited the hospital, noticing Willow watching him. There was a wordless understanding between them now, an unbreakable link formed not by blood, but by loyalty, sacrifice, and a determination never to be victims again. Drew had always been a rule follower, or so he told himself. But Port Charles had a way of drawing people into shadows they weren't even aware they had. And Drew Kane was no exception. For months he had teetered on the verge of bitterness, watching everyone else find calm as his own life spiraled out of control. When he first returned from prison, he promised himself that he would reestablish his relationships, reputation, and place in the world. However, no one greeted him warmly when he returned. They smiled politely. I gave him lip service about second chances. But those smiles concealed mistrust, distance, and worst of all, secrets. The one that hurt the most was not from a stranger. Came from someone close. Willow. Willow was sweet, pure, and angelic, and everyone thought she was a beacon of light. Michael adored her. The Quartermains respected her. She'd been through a lot, her illness, her mother's death, and the entire Nina saga. Everyone eschewed pity for her. But Drew had started to notice something else. Small things. Slips. Inconsistencies. There are hints of something evil beneath the surface. It all began when Daisy's name reappeared. Most folks in Port Charles had forgotten her. A bizarre, obsessive admirer turned stalker who became entangled in Shiloh's deceptive tactics. Daisy had withdrawn following her fall from grace, but she had recently been harassed online. Photos. Messages. Threats are made anonymously. When Daisy arrived at General Hospital with a gash on her arm and panic in her eyes, she murmured something that triggered Drew's spiral into his latest infatuation. "She's back," Daisy informed him. "She's the one who ruined me. The sweet one." Daisy lacked credibility, allies, and concrete evidence. But her words lodged in Drew's thoughts like a splinter. And once he began pulling, he could not stop. He began digging silently, examining digital trails, phone records, and even visiting Daisy when no one else would. Slowly a pattern emerged. Willow hadn't simply known Daisy back then. She was a member of the same cult, the same dark circle that drew in the vulnerable. But what if Willow had been more than just a victim? What if she formerly held authority in that world? Drew discovered an old photograph, buried deep in an online archive of Willow, considerably younger but undeniably present at an initiation event. Smiling, confident, standing close to Daisy. But Drew did not confront her immediately away. He waited, and he planned. If Willow had built her existence on lies, he planned to reveal her in the same way she had concealed herself. In front of everyone. When Carly offered Drew officiating a wedding at a Quartermain society gathering, he recognized it was the ideal setting. A public affair attended by the town's aristocracy. Willow, ever the dutiful matriarch in training, took part in the planning. Drew watched her float around the rooms with ease, enchanting everyone. Her baby in one arm and Michael by her side. It was too perfect. So he made a move, although one that was first inconspicuous. He sent Daisy an anonymous text message with the wedding information. She will be there. You want justice, right? Then he sowed a few seedlings. A little rumor in the invader regarding old cult connections in Port Charles. An anonymous letter was sent to Michael, with a duplicate of the photograph and a question scrawled in red pen. Do you really know your wife? As the wedding approached, the stress rose. Drew maintained a calm demeanor. He offered assistance and guidance, just as any decent friend or family member would. But internally, he waited for the fissures to form. They did not have to wait long. 2 nights before the nuptials, Michael confronted Willow with the photograph. She initially disputed it, calling it a fake. She claimed she didn't recall. But Michael's trust, which had already been tested by Drew's covert manipulations for months, began to wane. He began to pull away. Willow, accustomed to his blind support, frightened. She approached Drew that night, her face pallid and drawn. She asked him to help her and correct things. Said she didn't comprehend what was going on. But Drew saw something else. He noticed shame in her eyes. There's also fear. Not dread of gossip, but fear of the truth being revealed. He spoke what she wanted to hear. That he believed her. That he would smooth things out. And she thanked him innocently. The wedding day arrived, bright and sunny with well-manicured gardens. Guests mingled, unaware of the impending storm. Willow wore ivory. Not a bride, but close enough. She held Wiley in her arms and grinned for photographs. Michael stood beside her, frigid yet calm. And Drew? He stood at the altar officiating, keeping the power, keeping the secret. When it was his turn to speak, during the traditional toast, he cleared his throat and looked at the audience. He could have ruined her in that instant. But instead he focused his words on truth and masks. The manner in which people present themselves. How secrets may ruin love. Daisy entered the garden as he was speaking. Uninvited. Unannounced. She stood at the back, her gaze fixed on Willow. The room appeared to tilt. Willow went pale. Her grasp on Wiley intensified. Michael moved forward, hesitant. Drew did not say her name. He did not have to. Chaos erupted. Daisy began ranting, calling Willow a liar, manipulator and stalker. Screaming at letters, threats, and years of anxiety. Some attendees mistook it for a stunt. Others gasped. Michael drew Willow aside and demanded explanations. Willow broke partially. She said she had once known Daisy, that they had history. Perhaps some of the messages originated from her account, but she did not send them. Unfortunately, it was too late. The damage was done. Later, alone in the Quartermain den, Willow addressed Drew. She knew he had engineered it. I knew his fingerprints were all over the scheme. But Drew did not refute it. He stated unequivocally that he had completed his duties. You built your whole life on pretending to be something you're not, he told me. I just peeled back the mask. Willow's eyes were filled with unshed tears. Why now? Why do you enjoy this? Because you helped Michael take over my firm, he explained. Because you sat there and watched while Carly transformed me into her fixer. Because you smiled through it all as if you were the only person who had ever suffered. Willow pulled away, her expression unreadable. Then she muttered, You've become worse than what you accused me of. Drew didn't move. He understood who he had become. And he was not sorry. The consequences were severe in the days that followed. Daisy departed town, but not before selling her story to a tabloid. Michael has temporarily moved out. The Quartermains had emergency meetings behind closed doors. Willow kept her head down, avoiding the press and canceling charitable events. And Drew? He discreetly resumed business. I closed a couple deals. We met with investors. Allow the town to continue on as it always did. He kept an eye on things though. Always. He knew that once the truth is disclosed, it never truly goes away. It only waits to be utilized again. And deep down, he knew he hadn't done it for vengeance. Part of him needed to believe that someone else knew more secrets than he did. That he wasn't the only one trying to appear better than he was. However, the expense was exorbitant. Willow might never regain her position. Michael might never trust her again. Drew's hands were clean on paper, but he had passed a line from which he could not return. The retaliation had been surgical, cold, measured, and it had worked. But Port Charles has a long memory and a wicked heart. And secrets, no matter how deeply buried, were never truly dead.